Hello everyone, and welcome to our latest instalment in the OCC's What's Your Story initiative. Today I'm talking to Evelyn Kaulza from Wellness for Success. Hello Evelyn.
Hi James.
Hi, yeah, it's good to see you. So please tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do, Evelyn.
So my business is called Wellness for Success. It's just me. I started it 4 years ago, and my main aim is to help employees in businesses be well instead of being stressed out. And this all comes about because I was a stressed out being 4 years ago in my job, ended up taking a complete career change to retrain as a coach from what I was previously doing, and passionate about helping people prevent burnout. So I started off as training as a coach. So I'm an executive coach and a mindfulness teacher, and more recently a hypnotherapist. So yeah, basically go into workplaces and I facilitate workshops and group sessions and one-to-one coaching to help people understand what they can do for themselves to prevent stress.
Okay, so do you do coaching on a one-to-one basis, or is it more presentation led to corporate audiences?
It's both. So for some companies it starts off as a workshop. That's possibly the easiest thing, where I get introduced to do a topic. It might be mindfulness, it might be protecting our mental health. I do one on sleep. They're usually part of like maybe well-being weeks that they're doing, or for some smaller businesses they just want to do something extra. So for one company, for example, I do a monthly session for them, which is really an opportunity for staff to ask me questions, or I will do a little meditation and we do a topic. But as a sort of backup to that, I offer individual coaching for some of their managers, usually managers and senior managers of companies, where they can book a one-to-one confidential call with me and really to talk about anything. And I do that with 1 or 2 companies at the moment as well.
So do you find there are specific outcomes that your clients are looking for, or are they quite generic, quite broad?
They're all different, absolutely, yeah. So I mean that's what I enjoy, is that, you know, that first call with somebody and you don't really know anything about them or what's going on, and you just take that moment to breathe and then say, right, you know, tell me what's going on for you, you know, how can I help? And you just almost like wait. And so quite often there is that, you know, quite often it's quite emotional for people because they maybe been holding in a lot of things that they're worrying about or stress going on. And, you know, and obviously, you know, they talk to me, it's totally confidential, so I don't share anything with the company. All I would tell them is how many, say, you know, the sessions that have been booked, but it just gives them that space, you know. So really the outcome for them is usually that they've got something they want to change and do differently. But what we work on is, yeah, some of it's work related, some of it's home, and especially at the moment because a lot of people are working from home, that tends to come up quite a lot, how they're juggling and how they feel overwhelmed by all the responsibilities that they've got.
Okay. Yeah. So actually that's a really good point, because obviously all of our working environments have changed dramatically this year. How have you adapted to the changes that have been presented by 2020?
Yeah, so this time, when was it? Yeah, March. I remember it very clearly because March last year, the week before lockdown, I drove all the way up to Stockport and then back to Liverpool. Sunderland and Liverpool and Stockport to do a 3 days for a company. So furthest I'd ever travelled before that. Most of them have been, you know, within an hour's drive or so. And you know, because I had to book a hotel, I had to work out how I was going to get there, how long it was going to take me. You know, I had to go up the day before because I didn't want to risk, you know, traffic in the morning. So it probably took, you know, 4 or 5 days out there. And then like a week later, we were in lockdown. And what happened was the same company, I think probably about a month later, contacted me and said, look, we've got all our stuff. They all worked in offices, you know, they'd never worked from home, and now all working from home, and we've got furloughed staff. Can you help them? So, you know, I hadn't used Zoom before. I'd used Skype, I think, for some coaching I've done before for people. And so, yeah, I just thought, well, I'll just turn it into an online. So I wasn't sure how many people I was going to get onto the sessions and how it works. So I learned a lot from the first couple of sessions I did, that it's better to have fewer people than too many. And then they booked me for some others, another part of their company booked me that were not geographically, I think they were London. And I suddenly realized, it doesn't matter now, I'm at home, I can talk to people in Scotland, the other side of the world. So in that has led to more people booking me, but I think well-being the word well-being is so much more talked about than it was when I first started, and you probably know this as well, from networking and when we've spoken, is that you were sort of knocking on a lot of closed doors, and now they've realized they need to do something, so they're coming to me, and obviously lots of other similar providers that are out there.
So do you find with being now much more of an online business and doing your coaching on the Zoom world, that you're getting the same kind of outcomes as you were getting in face-to-face, or are the outcomes better or different?
That's the thing I think I miss, is that usually, like at the end of a workshop, when I'm there, people would come up to you afterwards and say, oh, I really found that useful, or they may just say, oh yeah, I really related to that, and you just get, and also the body language of the group, you can pick up, whether they were engaged, really engaged, and listening, and also that there's only you in the room with them, whereas online that you're not, there's not just you, there's everything that's going on in the background at home. So it's really hard. I think that's the downside, you can't tell whether they're engaged. And I've had to sort of, some of them I do try and build in feedback at the end, but it depends on the company what they want, really. I usually ask them if they can get feedback and then let me know, but I do miss the follow-up. So you maybe give them lots of tips, but you never get to know whether they actually implement them. So that's why I like the coaching, because the coaching is more than one session, and you get to work with a person and you see the results of what's happened, what they've put in place. So I like having the two. I like doing the two things, but yeah, in person is definitely better. But I don't miss the traveling, and obviously I can do more and help more people this way.
That's really, really good. So as part of the OCC, one of our missions is about building dream teams and collaborating together. So in the virtual world, have you found that you're able to collaborate better, or does it make it more difficult, or how have you found that?
I'd say it's probably, it's been easier in the sense of building those relationships, people to collaborate, because again, when we used to have to go meet somebody for a coffee, and that would be half a day gone, whereas you can book calls and you can meet people, and then we've come up with ideas because we're all sort of in the same boat. So I've worked with several people where we've put on free events, done them online, and again, it's they do it from their home, and I do it from my home in the virtual world. And also, the people that you're aiming at there, they haven't got to travel, they haven't got to take a day off, so they can literally fit in the time. So yeah, I'm working with different people, HR people, other types of trainers I've worked with, as well as I did one with a office furniture company. We did it with the three of us, the HR person, office furniture, and myself. And actually that was when you could sort of go into an office environment. We used the office furniture's showroom basically, and we did socially distanced, and he used a very high-tech camera where it can zoom in on each of you speaking, and we put on a webinar together. But so that was nice to do it slightly differently, but just lots of collaborating opportunities around, and that's what the benefit of the OCC and all the other networking I do as well.
Yeah, good. It's really interesting. So obviously 2020 has been a tough year for everybody, but I'm talking to lots of small business owners who see 2021 as being a great year of opportunities. So how do you feel your business will grow and develop in 2021, and are there any new opportunities that are coming online for you?
Mhm. So I think, again, I just think it's going to be busy personally, because the well-being, the mental health of people, they're saying, everybody's saying the fallout of, the last year, it's having effect in some people, but it may be affecting people almost like a delayed response. And companies are having to think about which ways do they go back to the office or do they stay virtually. So I think in terms of people who do training and things like I do, I think it's possibly going to be that mixture of, actually it may still be done virtually, because if you've got to deliver training where some of their staff are at home and some might be in the office, it may be that they'll be putting on, you're on a screen in the office for the ones that are in and the ones at home, but I may be still at home delivering it. So that would be good, because that means I can spread myself further. But with my one-to-one coaching and my hypnotherapy, I'm really looking forward to helping more people on that side of things, particularly with anxiety and phobias, because there's really simple ways that it can help people. And so at the moment that's just done as sort of one-to-one referrals, friends, family, and through my coaches. So I'll probably look to expand perhaps on that, because actually, my aim is to spend more time abroad in Spain, and maybe spend the winter there. Wouldn't that be nice? And just carry on doing some work from there. So wouldn't it even better be sat with a glass of wine in the evening, but then in the day delivering training or coaching or hypnotherapy to anybody, all done from comfort of my own home.
That's a great aspiration to have, that you can go and spend the winter in Spain and still run your business and still deliver great outcomes for people as well. So I just wanted to ask you one more question, really, which was around obviously over the winter we've been in lockdown in the UK. So do you think that you'll get a lot more referrals around mental health? Because obviously when we did the first lockdown, it was glorious. The weather was glorious and people were out in the parks. Do you think this has been much more challenging because we're in the winter?
Yeah, definitely. From a lot of the people I've been talking to, they've actually said that. They said it was somehow in the summer or early where it's lovely weather and they would be able to get out, especially for things like exercise. I always say, always my top tip is always make sure you get outside and, walking. And of course, people who sit at a desk all day busy, they maybe had, good exercise routines, which they did in the first thing in the morning, and now they're not doing it because it's dark. And I think generally we all feel it when it's miserable and dark in the morning. So yeah, I think combination of that and the fact that there's, they had anticipating going back to the office sort of October times. I think everybody got their hopes up, oh yes, we're going, and then that was sort of pulled out from under them, and then there was like nobody knowing what was going to happen. And now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but everybody's being very cautious still about what that means, and everybody is an individual, and the companies are really having to pay attention to what the needs are for each member of their team, because if they can't cope with looking after a child who's got learning difficulties, say for example, or ADHD whilst they're working, the companies have got to be flexible about how their staff work. So I think the future is, I think certainly the next year, I think it's going to be very busy. But mental health and things like that have always been there. And I think people are just now opening up and talking about it more. So hopefully the people like me in the wellbeing field are there we want people to be well and happy at work and at home. So
and it sounds like you're empowering managers to have better understandings about how to deal with mental health and other conditions that have an impact on somebody's ability to work. Doesn't mean they're less productive, but you just have to adapt to make sure that you're not putting them under undue stress.
Yeah, it's giving them the skills and the confidence, really, that they don't have to fix people. And actually quite a lot of the things that most of us, the habits that we know we should be doing, that people don't realize how important they are for our mental health. So yeah, it's sort of encourage it. Good, and managers setting examples. I think they have to set, the senior managers have to set a good example for their staff, taking their breaks and encouraging their staff. If lots of companies have all these exercise programs now, again online, that you can do yoga online, but it's like encouraging staff to take the time to do it, fit it in the day, and give them permission to take the time for themselves when they need it.
Cool, brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Evelyn. It's been really interesting chatting to you. Thank you so much. And
no, it's great talking to you anytime, James.
Brilliant. Thank you, Evelyn.
All right, take care.